So in this video, I wanted to take a quick look at the Kokuyo soft ring notebook. I purchased this recently in the A5 size. That is the smaller of the sizes it comes in. It's also sold in a B5. And the B5 sells for maybe about $11. A5, you can get about 2 of them for $11, give or take. Comes in a few different cover colors. I bought it in this pretty sharp looking blue. And then, yeah, just to get into the basics. So it's a soft notebook, which means it has a soft cover. Cover is made of plastic, so it's pretty well protected. Back is paper. And then the sort of defining characteristic of the notebook is that the rings, so it's a ringed notebook, but the rings are made of plastic. And that way if you put them into a backpack or something, it's not really gonna catch on them. They won't get bended out of shape, and then they just will bend, no problem, and return to how they were. So 50 sheets, 6mm ruled with dot lines, 29 lines per page, and there you go. And the dots are really almost imperceptible, but you could probably just make them out there. And it's basically a line, and every once in a while, maybe every centimeter or so, you have a tiny little dot. That's just for keeping your text regular. The paper is, let me see, 70 grams per square meter, and it's very smooth. This is some of the smoothest paper I have in stock. It's maybe not as smooth as some Tomio's, but it is like very, very smooth, which is nice. I know some people like maybe too smooth for some applications, but I'll leave that up to you. The cover, again, plastic, pretty tough. I think it'll hold up well. I wish the back had been plastic as well, since this is just like a cardstock. This sticker comes off, which is nice. And then, like I said, it has 50 sheets. So won't last you super long, but it'll get the job done. I wanted to cover the paper, so I did a couple writing samples. And I just ran through a couple different pens. So like Acro, which is like a Jetstream, some Energel, Inkjoy. These are just some of the common applications. Some fountain pens. Here's a highlighter if you're into that sort of thing. Easy Flow, Energel, another fountain pen, Jetstream. So just some of the common ones. And I'll put this down, flatten it out. You could definitely feel the dent from it, but not much ink there. Very little coming through, which is nice. Like you could definitely see some of the lines where I pressed harder, but there's definitely not a lot of bleed through, even with a double broad. And actually the fountain pens penetrated the least. Where you see it is really where you see the roller balls and the gel pens pressing in, but the fountain pens, where you don't have to press as hard, the ink did not penetrate. So again, this is a fountain pen. Here, you're not really seeing the ink as much as you're seeing the pressing. So this is definitely something where you could write on both sides of the paper if you're so inclined. And then here's how that binder looks. Basically, the rings were pushed through and they were pressed. So it can't unravel over time because it's pressed and sealed. If you could see how that works. Pressed and sealed. So if you've had, usually at one end, your notebook will start to get bent up and start catching on things and unraveling. This is not the case here. These are sealed. And I haven't had the notebook very long, but I don't foresee any problems with that over time. So yeah, that is the Kokuyo soft ring. I'm actually a big fan of this notebook. At first I thought that it was just sort of like maybe a little bit silly and just a novelty. There's really no reason to have the soft rings, but as I've used this and other Kokuyos for a little bit, I've grown accustomed to it. I think it's actually a pretty nice product. And in the smaller sizes, you can you can, the A5 size I think is pretty reasonable for day-to-day use. The B5 is probably a little bit big for me. And just for reference, a B5 is the size in between A4 and A5. So watch out, as the feature set is not completely consistent across all of them. This one does not have perforated pages, but if you go ahead and upgrade to the B5, you do get perforated pages, so just keep that in mind. I don't know if that's super important to you, but worth noting. Yeah, it's definitely not perforated. So, and it does lie flat after getting put back in shape. Feels nice and flat, no problems there. So I found these soft rings to be actually fairly functional, in addition to being just kind of cool. So that's it, Kokuyo soft ring. Thanks for watching.